Hello and welcome back to the Noise Filter podcast. This week we have Vlad Neko. Is that how you say your surname?
That is correct.
Excellent. Can you just give a brief description of what you do to the people that don't know?
Well, what I do is, yes, I do a little bit of everything. My main squeeze is an independent content creator for YouTube, for Google. I create videos based around Nerf blasters, reviews, modifications, gameplay, etc. Done it for like 4 or 5 years now, and I don't see myself quitting anytime soon.
Excellent. What kind of led you to get into this? What was your sort of origin story?
My origin story was I started with real steel firearms, probably way too young, but I am from America and kind of a Hickville, USA type scenario, so it was seen as acceptable. So by the time I was like 8, I was shooting real steel, and I saw these guys modifying Nerf guns. I'm like, all right, but I can do it better. I know I'm young, but I can do it better. Truth was, I couldn't do it quite as well as some of these college guys that have access to, lathes and CNC routers and stuff, but I had gumption, and I basically kind of low-key called out the top guy, and we had a bit of a spat, and we've gone back and forth a little bit, but now we're best friends. We're brothers in the purest sense of the word, in the Spartan sense of the word, if you will. So it started off as, this kid thinks he can talk smack, to, so who's buying drinks this weekend? It's pretty great.
Is there a big community of people doing sort of what you're doing, or are you sort of in a niche area?
I like to think that I'm a niche, simply because of my presentation of my material. Yeah. But there's a lot of people that do what I do. Not everybody has a YouTube channel. Yeah. There's like 6 or 7 big people on YouTube. I'm not quite in that 6 or 7. I don't think, at least. A lot of people seem to know me, which is interesting and nice.
Yeah.
I consider myself to be more of a mom and pop style brand, if you will.
Yeah.
Just because people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of you. People talk about you in their videos, but I've never actually seen you. Especially when I go to events, I get recognized surprisingly often. But there's the Facebook community that I'm predominant in. There's like 6,000 or 7,000 people in it. Yeah. So it's a big game. Nerf modding is a really big thing. It's just kind of, you don't see it too often, unless of course you're watching the Modern Rogue and they sure do borrow some footage from my brother's video on modifying the Big Shock or whatever they were working on.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's quite a nice little drop, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what kind of things influenced you into going down this path? Is there anything that you have watched that kind of inspired what you do, or?
I like to think that each project that I work on is inspired by something different. Mm-hmm. Let's see, I can actually give you a relatively exact time. It was 3-4 months ago, or maybe closer to 6. Yikes, time is scary. I did a project that I called the Kepler Arms Project 5 months ago. The Kepler Arms Project, which was heavily inspired by Star Wars and by The Expanse. Yeah, I was watching those two, and I was like, all right, time to make a space gun. So I made this really, really intricate space gun that of course, it's not electronic, but I threw some electronics in there anyways because LEDs are cool and lights are nice. So I threw that in there and actually had my girlfriend do a lot of the hand detail work for the logo. Yeah. Before I had access to a vinyl cutter, I have access to a girlfriend with hand paints who is far more artistic than I am. I'm really good with rattle cans and not so much with really fine hand painting.
Do you have a team of people that you sort of work with, or is this your project exclusively? Do you do everything?
So I am an advisor on several YouTube channels and main content creator for one. My channel is all me. Yeah. I help the Lord Draconical channel with content. I help the Undead Archery channel, or recently rebranded to Undead Outdoors, because archery videos you can only do so many of them before they just become repetitive. Yeah. It's also really expensive. You can easily blow $700 on a bow. easily.
Big
So
money.
those videos got really expensive. So we changed it to outdoors so we could do knives and guns and stuff
Yeah.
because, hey, Pickville, USA.
That's quite
It's
cool.
big.
It's got. Do you find that you end up kind of following different tangents because of that fear of like becoming doing this, digging the same ground over and
Yes. My brother and I always say when you stop striving for stuff, you stop achieving things when you're not hungry anymore. So you just got to stay hungry.
Yeah.
You got to stay hungry for something new. My brother's actually in China right now, visiting some production plants that make some of the toys that we use.
Awesome.
It's ridiculous. Like now he's actually spending 2 weeks in China, I think. He's going to have a ton of content to put out, insider knowledge of actually the way that they produce these things so that he can not only, know how to modify them better, actually see like what goes into it. It gives you a different perspective and a different appreciation for it as well.
Yeah. With so I was watching some of your modding, your mod videos, and is there like somewhere you can buy the custom parts? Then is it, or do you have to make every modification yourself? Is there like a repository for collecting up the
There's
bits?
several companies that make drop-in kits. There's several companies that just make parts.
Yeah.
Most of the electronic blasters, it just pays to know what you're doing, to understand basic circuitry, basic soldering.
Yeah.
There are companies that sell loom kits where you drop in. All you have to do is cut out some extra space for the switch and hot glue that in.
Yeah.
Most places, it's actually a lot cheaper if you just buy 100 switches for like $20 from China on eBay, and then buy the motors. They're like $10. Buy the cage. It's like 30 if you want the really, really nice ones. It also depends on what you're going for. Different projects that I work on have different requirements for me. The biggest requirement for me is aesthetic. Like to use a phrase, I'm an aesthetic hoe. I love just picking an aesthetic and running with it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite projects that I've done is the SCAR kit. Actual SCAR rifle is like $3,000. I don't have $3,000. So instead I spent $100 to make a Nerf replica that I could take with me to games. And it gives you that feel. I even threw a full auto kit in it so I could have that full auto feel.
Yeah.
But, it's Nerf or nothing.
Yeah. Has Nerf ever approached you or got in contact about like kind of doing something for them officially, or?
Nerf is they don't want to work with the modding community because, of course, we're modifying their products. They don't like that. I've been approached by a couple other companies, and I have done, not necessarily collaborations, but I get PR boxes from companies usually about twice a year. I'm expecting one around Christmas, and I get one in the summer as well.
Awesome.
The Primetime Toys is the last one that sent me a box, and there's some cool stuff and there's some not so great stuff. I think that the funniest video that I've done has been the Dart Zone Storm. It's just the support class weapon. It looked like something from Battlefield 1.
Right.
So we did a whole Battlefield 1 video. It was really fun. It's really interesting to see how other brands get around copyright laws.
Yeah.
I love watching them kind of struggle with that, and then sometimes they end up accidentally doing it better. It's phenomenal.
Whereabouts would you where do you kind of see yourself in like 5 years? Is this gonna like grow and grow? Are you hoping to grow your channel or your YouTube presence, or what do you think you're gonna be doing?
I mean, I think it'd be dumb if I was here not expecting growth, or at least hoping for growth. I'm hoping within the next 2 years I will hit that 100,000 mark, and then after that, who knows? My brother's at something like 75. Yeah, he's at $750,000, I think, and that's a nice place to be. He bought a house in south of Atlanta. He's got it pretty well. I currently live with my elderly grandfather, and I work essentially 8 jobs.
Wow, that's busy. But does it kind of? You have to excuse my ignorance because I'm probably as ill-informed as most people. But how do you sort of transition that sort of YouTube into money? Obviously, they give you is it like a YouTube channel button and a partnership or something? I don't know.
YouTube used to approach you and say, "Hey, partnership?" question mark.
Yeah.
Now you can apply for a partnership, and there used to be a really high subscriber count that you needed for that. They kind of did away with that. I monetized my channel when I had 100 subscribers.
Right.
That first year, I made 4 cents. It's all through a Google AdSense account. So that matches up with blogs, basically anything that Google owns and runs, which is a lot. Don't know if you knew. Google is gigantic. So like having a blog, having a YouTube channel, having just about anything else that's associated with Google, put ads on it, all collects in one money receptacle.
Okay.
So that first year at 100 subs, I made like 4 cents. The next year, I did a lot of promoting work. I did a lot of cross promotion with some people, and I got up to like 1,000. And I was making like $1 a year.
Yeah.
Now I'm making something like $80 a year.
Right.
Which is a nice place to be. Doesn't even come close to paying for my channel, but I love it, so I'm willing to put money into it.
Yeah. Which is almost unbelievable, isn't it? Because some of you got hundreds of thousands of views or 50,000 views or something like.
It depends on the channel. On the Undead Archery channel, we get an average of like 7,000-8,000 views.
Yeah.
On the Lord Draconical channel, it's hundreds of thousands of views usually on a good video. On a bad video, like 80,000-90,000.
Yeah.
On my personal channel, I'm getting usually about 300-400 views. Some of my better videos are my older videos where it's a lot of gameplay footage.
Okay.
Surprisingly, people don't do gameplay footage very often, which is unfortunate, especially with games like Humans vs. Zombies. Not many people have a GoPro that they're running at all times, which, to be fair, you need a gigantic SD card.
Yeah.
I need to get like 120 gig because
Yeah.
I just run out of space.
Is that how you do all of your? Because it's all POV, isn't it? So do you just have like a GoPro and a head?
I've actually got two ways that I do it. I've got video goggles that are actually like ski goggles with a camera just right by the eyebrow.
That's cool.
I wear that when I'm playing. There's kind of 2 brands. There's Superstock and there's NIC. NIC stands for Nerf Internet Community. Basically, anything that hits over 200 feet per second is going to classify as NIC. I've had a couple NIC wars in my backyard with just a couple of friends after a few brews, and we walk out of there with just welts because we're dumb and rather inebriated. A buddy of mine had an air cannon that hits about 530 FPS. He shot a buddy of mine point blank in the back with a Blue Dome, which is a piece of foam, a 1/0 fishing weight, which is like 1/8 of an ounce, and then hot glue. And actually put a cookie cutter hole in his back. He was bleeding for about 45 minutes. It was, I would say it's a good time. I watched him like writhe in pain. I thought he was actually shot. And then, he gets up. He's like, dude, that was awesome. We gotta do it again. Like, God.
Crikey.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
As much as I would like to claim that we are the most extreme in the middle of Cornville, Ohio, Australia is actually a lot worse. I heard a story of a kid in Australia that had his collarbone broken by a similar setup.
God.
Yeah. The paramedics were really confused. They're like, wait, shot, but like, not a gun? Question mark? Like, yeah, Nerf.
I suppose maybe
some dirt.
I suppose maybe this is why they don't want you to mod them, isn't it? It gives them a bad name, doesn't it? I suspect.
So you will notice that there are no large air tanks in Nerf anymore.
Right.
It's all like HAMP for their underslung rocket launchers and stuff. It's all HAMPs. It's all flywheels, it's all springs. It's because you can cram a lot of air into an air tank, and you can get some crazy ranges and power out of them.
Have they have Nerf reacted to the mod scene by like you say, sort of being a bit mindful about how moddable their weapons are, or have their guns got safer, or are they just as moddable and dangerous for people?
It's
like
interesting. There are some that are more difficult to mod. If you look at the Rapid Strike, for example, it's a mess inside. There's so many different wires going everywhere. You really kind of need a more complex understanding of circuitry to get those right, to function just like better than stock. You can turn them into dart hoses, but if you want the reliability of being able to one or double or even triple shot, you need to understand circuitry a bit better. I will not do them unless it's a personal project or if somebody is paying me a lot of money. And even then I say, give me a year, because I'm going to be fussing with this for a long time because they're just that impossible.
Wow.
Other ones they're simpler. They've universalized the spring that they use, which is A, smart for production, and B, smart for, well, these college kids are going to do it anyways, so let's just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might break them and then they'll buy a new one, ? Or they're just going to hope that somebody else can produce a better set of internals for them for cheaper. One of my favorite stories from an early Nerf modder on YouTube was he was getting a lot of cease and desist letters from Hasbro saying, hey, you're modifying our things. We said not to do that. And his response each time, keep in mind this was being sent through the YouTube inbox, through the YouTube Messenger client, which was an atrocity even then. It's even worse now. His response was, nah, I bought them. They're mine. I can do what I want.
Come at me, bro.
He was right. Like, their issue wasn't that he was modifying them. It was that he was teaching other people to modify them. Right. That was what their issue was. And since then, they have realized, all right, this guy is actually better for our brand than we are.
Yeah.
Because he gets so many views. We should just let him do his thing and turn a blind eye to what he does to our products when he's not reviewing them.
Because for me, like I've known about Nerf guns. I think probably when I was younger, I'm 35. I can't really remember Nerf guns being something that was around particularly when I was younger. But I can remember being probably in my early 20s and seeing my friends getting some, and it was a thing that was probably just before my time. But like, having watched your videos, like, I would be more inclined, or having watched those types of, like, you know, sort of modding and like changing and all that kind of stuff, I'd be more inclined to get into it. It's definitely doing a good thing for them, isn't it? If they can just if they can just sort of go, well, we say don't touch them, we say don't mod them. If you do, it's up to you to be responsible for it. I think that's probably a good thing for them, isn't it? Really,
kind of how they have to be. Otherwise, you know, they're just sitting there angry and, you know, just twisting their hands. Oh man, I can't believe that they're doing this, but look at the money that's coming in. Man, you know, they're just at war with themselves.
The best way to be.
Yeah.
So you sort of talked about the fact that you have like a community, people that you engage with. How did you sort of grow your channel? How does that work for you? I mean, you talked about cross promotion and stuff like that. What if you could give some advice to some people about how to do it? Even, you know, like I'm in the beginning phase myself, so I'm just as interested. How does it happen?
Well, the thing is, you can't find a set way to do it, because once you tap out one thing, you know, it's not going to work that way again. The way that beats got huge was they sent beats to every like NBA player, and they're like, here, where are beats? You get them for free, and, you know, listen to your music before the game. That advertising was just worth so much to them for such a small price of sending out a few hundred pairs of headphones. And then, you know, the NBA is like, you can't do that, and they still kind of did it. That will only work once.
Yeah.
I decided that the best way for me to try to grow my brand was find somebody bigger than me, see, if I can do some work with them, kind of get that cross pollination of the subscribers,
Yeah.
and then also find my local people, find my local group, and just become big in there. I I try to be humble, but in the like tri-state area, I'm not necessarily a legend, but people will tell stories of me in the same way that they will tell like ghost stories. The There's like 4 main campuses that I play Humans versus Zombies. For those who don't know, Humans versus Zombies is an elaborate game of tag where one side is the humans defend themselves with marshmallows, sock bombs, and Nerf blasters. The other side is the zombies. They run, they tag people. People that are tagged become zombies. It's all indicated by bandanas. Zombies have bandanas on their head when they're active, around their neck when they're inactive. Humans have it around their arm or their leg. You can tell I say this a lot. So I found, my 4 main campuses that I like to play on. And then I was myself, for lack of a better term. Like, I like to imagine that I'm a rather fun person. I'm a rather energetic person.
Yeah.
And people really latch onto that. I'm a people person. So people latched onto that aspect, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Vlad, he's a cool guy. Like, man, you should have been there the one time. There was like 18 zombies, and he was like, so guys, Leroy Jenkins, and just ran headlong into him. You should have seen it." Like, people tell stories, and it makes me happy because they get a little different each time.
Yeah.
There's one more zombie. I get just a little bit faster.
Yeah. I've got a friend
that jumped off was a little bit higher,
I've got a friend that we assign a 1/3 proportional amount of exaggeration to everything he says.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite interesting. So, do you how do you engage with your audience, and how do you cultivate that sort of how do you keep the people involved, or create that sense of community that I suspect from the Diamond Club we both probably try and emulate when we start these projects? How do you get that going?
I go into every interaction with a fan with the understanding that they inherently know more about me, so standing there and talking about me is doing no good. I ask people about their projects, about what they're doing, what kind of stuff they like to see. I take that opportunity to find out, A, what my fans are into, and B, what my fans are up to.
Yeah.
That information is just incredibly valuable to me. I think that making it not about you is important, for lack of a better way to put it.
Do you have, like, you're saying about Facebook and stuff, are you sort of like messaging everybody that replies to all your posts? Do you service that in, like, I think for some people you reach a point where it's like, I suspect there's so many people commenting on everything, you can't do a brushwood and just like spend a lifetime replying for everything.
Right. I'm not gonna lie, the ones that I have to ignore the most are, hey, can I trade you this modified Night Finder that I did for a Strife commission? I'm like, well, buddy, let me tell you what, the Strife is worth way more than your Night Finder. And if I really wanted a Night Finder, I'd make it myself. So no, like, those are the ones that I have. I always hate responding to that because you can tell from the writing that they're like an 8-year-old and they're really inspired, and you're like, buddy, you can do it yourself too. I made the videos for you so that if you can't afford my work, you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I honestly, the number of comments and stuff that I get is not overwhelming.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually the first day or two after I release a video, there's like 8 to 10 comments, usually from good friends of mine, and they're usually just trolling me. Especially with gameplay footage. Actually, T plus 15 minutes ago, a new video went live, the Mission 0 of a week-long, also known as Midnight Hunt,
Right.
from the Bowling Green HVZ week-long game. Midnight Hunt was a tradition that was, all right, everybody, when the game starts, we all Leroy Jenkins it. And, consequences be damned. We're going to do it. And it turned into an official mission after a little while. The BG Undead game has been actually the second longest going game, next to the Goucher College game. BG Undead is in its 11th year. Goucher is in its 12th. Um, Going just by like number of years between myself and my squad, we have more experience playing the game than the game has been around,
Wow.
which is really, it's a nice stat to throw out there to new people and see the little twinkle in their eye. It's really, it kind of gets me a little bit. It's like, I'm still cool at something.
That's really cool. Do you think that have you had any sort of notable bad experiences, or are there any pitfalls you could advise people when setting up their sort of channel or podcast or doing their creative type of thing? Is there any advice you could give?
Don't use your cell phone to film everything unless you're doing vlogs, and even then, like, a GoPro is better.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially younger people, they like set up their phone propped up against a can of tomato sauce, and they do their best to get the framing right. Go ahead, put some forethought into it.
Yeah.
Really think about frames. Check your local library. There's a service called lynda.com. You can actually, through most libraries, you can get a subscription for free, and you can take tons of different classes in both like podcasting, movie making, both amateur and professional, even 3D modeling. There's I've been brushing up on some of the consulting classes because it's been a little while since I've had to do some consulting. I've been partnered with a firm since 2013, but I haven't had to do anything with them for like a year and a half now.
Yeah.
So I've been brushing up on that. Resources like that are just incredibly valuable. Use them. Forethought is just incredibly valuable and will make your production value just increase tenfold.
Because a lot of your stuff is, I was watching it, and it is really, really nicely produced, and it's got a lot of sort of stuff that when you're starting out, I suppose it's like trying to get your production value up is massively difficult, isn't it? It's having to make do with what you can, and like I would love to have a proper podcast studio in which I had everything set up, but you kind of have to make do with what you can afford. Is there any like things that have been good shortcuts for you, or good like workarounds?
There's nothing wrong with the last generation GoPro. I'm still working with the Hero Plus, just the standard Hero Plus Wi-Fi, and I've been doing just fine. The previous iteration of the video goggles that I used were fine. They weren't 1080p. They were just a little bit lower, and they were fine. They worked. At the end of the day, just make sure that your content itself is quality and your filming style is not unwatchable. Just keep things as not shaky as you can. It's the biggest pitfall that I see. I get a lot of kids that send me videos. They're like, I was inspired by you and Drac and Coop, and I wanted to also do this stuff, so here's one of my videos, let me know what you think. And I have a preset thing where I'm like, all right, copy paste, do these things and you'll be better. Don't use your cell phone. If you're going to use your cell phone, at least make sure that it is it's on like a tripod. Don't try to copy somebody too closely. Take your own spin on it. I like to imagine that I blended the best of several different YouTubers when I started my channel. Yeah. And it's been working really well for me.
It's one of the things I've found really helpful is be quite critical of your own work, reevaluate what you've done, have a rewatch, and kind of watch it without the rose tinted goggles of your own. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's easily done, isn't it? You can bask in your own excellence, but it's much better to kind of pick apart the things that make it bad, to a degree.
Yeah, there's a thing that several of my artist friends say. Once I finish a project or once I finish a piece, I stare at it until I hate it, and then I do another one. Like, you need to hate your own work, and that will strive you to do better. Yep. Like, come to an understanding that your work it needs to be this good, and if I can make it this good, then it can be launched, but I need to do better. Yeah. I use Windows Movie Maker to produce all of my videos. There are a couple that I have a really good buddy. I do work for him. He makes videos for me. I
Yeah.
have a Google Drive that I upload everything to. I'm like, hey, so like beers on me this weekend. Can you make this video real quick at work? And
Yeah.
he's like, oh yeah, sure. So he uses like Premiere, and he'll even make a thumbnail for me with Photoshop. Like, you don't need a whole lot of really expensive programs. So long as you have the gumption, you can do it. There's an app called Pixlr that I make most of my thumbnails with. Well, you just upload a video or you upload a photo and you throw some text on there and maybe throw a really cool filter on it, distort the edges,
Yeah.
and upload it. Usually it saves it to the right file size for YouTube, which is great.
That's awesome. Is there any other software that you have come across that is helpful for you for what you do, or I mean, Windows Movie. To be honest, I was using Windows Movie Maker for ages, and it was the old one was awesome. I really liked the old one. It's 2.6, but the newer one I wasn't a massive fan of. I just changed to Wondershare Filmora, which is really easy to use and quite cheap. So
I'll tell you what, everything was better with Vista. Not gonna lie, like
that's a
Windows is doing
controversial.
something pretty great.
That's a controversial point.
That's when I really got into making videos. I was still using Vista.
Yeah.
I was also using an ancient laptop. My laptop was almost as old as I was at the time, if that gives you any idea. It was a rough time.
Yeah.
The thing weighed. Now I've got a much better laptop that's a little bit faster, and uploading videos doesn't take 3 days. It takes maybe 2 hours, depending on how long of a video is. Oh man, another thing that YouTube has been doing lately is they are promoting videos that are over 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So if you have a video that is 9 minutes 30 seconds, that one is not going to be inherently promoted as much as a video that you have that's, say, 10 minutes 30 seconds. Most of my videos that I try to do anymore are over 10 minutes. I think the one that I released today was 11 and a half minutes, something like that. I really try to hit that 10-minute mark just so that my videos will be boosted by YouTube a little bit more.
Yeah. Is there any other like sort of secret source that, because I don't think people necessarily know all these things, do they? And if you're a content creator, quite often people just make I aim for like a sort of an amount of time per episode, not because of any not for any other reason other than that's the amount of time that I allocate for it. But is there anything else that people should know about to get around that?
Constructing your thumbnails is very important. Also, titles and tags. Tags are what people are able to search for.
Yeah.
So, the tag, you should always have the actual title of your video in the tag, and then some buzzwords. Most of my videos have Vlad, Humans versus Zombies, Gun, Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just because that's what I do, and then I'll also throw in some more specific ones. So like the vlog that I did when I went to the D-Day in Ohio event, a video game company that I like sponsored this reenactment, and I was really excited to go and see tanks. I love tanks. I love World War II.
Yeah.
I've been on a World War II kick for like 10 years, so at this point it's just who I am.
Yeah.
So to go there and like actually touch a Hellcat and a Panzer IV, like that was the best day for me.
Yeah.
So I was throwing some really specific tags in there. I was like, all right, we need to make this more general. Tanks, Hellcat, flyby, Mustang, gun, big gun. They had an 88 millimeter flak cannon there. That thing went off. I was 100 feet from it. It pushed me back a good 2 feet. That was great. It kind of blew out one of my eardrums. It's still not quite right. I love it. Yeah. Thumbnails are also really important. Make sure that if it's relevant to your content, try to include a girl in it, because most of your viewers are male. At least most of my viewers are male.
Yeah.
I actually did a breakdown of my demographics. Most of my viewers are males between the ages of 16 and 23.
Yeah.
And like that's the biggest by far. The next biggest is women between 35 and 50.
Yeah.
Now, for a while, I thought that was, oh no, Cougar Town. But no, it's actually because moms want to know what the cool Nerf gun to get is around Christmas time. So that's when that number just spikes.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Do you do much to sort of cater to those things then? Because you said like you try and keep it sort of mum and pops and clean so that people can check it out. Do you use that demographic information to adjust how you do your show?
I do more, as far as mods go, I do more like video game replicas anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on a Halo assault rifle at the moment. I try to make the gameplay appeal more to the college kid demographic, the high school demographic. I try to make my reviews appeal more to the mom looking for the best bang for her buck, basically.
Yeah.
So that's how I use that.
Yeah.
I think it's been working pretty well. My review videos get a lot more views around Christmas time. Like right now, we're starting to see a bit of a spike in those views, and that will continue through about January.
Yeah. Is there anything that you particularly like that you would like to, is there any like sort of people that are maybe not having as much success as you that you'd like to shine a light on, that you think these are people that you would like to sort of promote a little bit on their behalf?
The Naptown Nerf guys are just great. They run wars is their main thing, but they also do some really, really nice mods with, they do a lot of hydro dipping, which is really cool. A lot of lights, a lot of translucent parts. Really, really cool stuff. I don't think that they get as much credit as they should. If you want to see a guy just do crazy integrations and just horrific mods, horrific as in like these would not be legal most places. A guy called Pete Fuzzy Pete. He doesn't produce much content, but the content that he does create is quality. He's also just a really, really nice guy. He used to be a regular at our wars. He makes things and then he gives them to people because I made it and now I've got my use out of it. Here, have it. He's just that kind of a guy.
Nice.
Evan B is another guy. If you search for Evan B Nerf, you'll find him. He actually started an aftermarkets Nerf parts shop out of the basement of his tattoo shop, and he's been going gangbusters. Some people find him to be an acquired taste. He's got the thumbs up Jesus. He's got that tattooed on his neck. Like, he's a really funny guy. But he's a really genuine guy.
Awesome.
But he makes some really, really nice stuff. My current, the Scar Strife that I'm running right now, the current setup, I just swapped it out. I have to do a video on the parts that he sent me. It's his custom cage and his custom wheels. He loves coming up with fun names for his stuff. So a standard Nerf cage is going to consist of the cage, the motors, and the flywheels. He has his custom motors, his custom cage, and he renamed his flywheels to, instead of just, hooligan flywheels, he renamed them Hooligan Fly-Ass Wheels because branding is important. So the Hooligan Blaster Company is another group that should definitely get a little bit more of a spotlight on them.
Is there a lot of people doing sort of these custom made parts, or is that sort of quite a rare thing to find?
There's a lot of people that do 3D printed parts, and those are really expensive because, let's be honest, 3D printers are really expensive. Not everybody has access to them like, say, I do. I have access to 3 printers. One of them has a print space of 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Decently sized. I got another one that has a print bed of 20 inches by 20 inches. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
Not everybody has access to that, though, so those parts tend to be pretty expensive, and it tends to be a specialty thing.
Yeah.
The Hooligans have like 6 3D printers in the basement that are going nonstop. They have contacts in their town that actually custom mill the Delrin flywheels to their exact specifications within like 2 or 3 microns. They are some really precision work, and you pay for it. Admittedly, they're like $15 for a pair, but it's worth it to have that super super precision, super high crush flywheels.
Is 3D printing good enough now that people can decide to kind of make like that their business? Like, I'm sure that's a stupid question, but like, can people go, this is such a quality part, it will be strong enough, it will be accurate enough that now they can just sort of print off. I've got a friend who in fact wants to start this business, and but he's frightened that it's not quite there, the technology's not there, or the cost versus time isn't quite there. Is that, in your experience, have you sort of just observed that it is?
It depends on your approach. If you have like 36 parts that you can make at any given point in time that are desirable,
Yeah.
by all means, your business model should be good to go as soon as you have like a dozen printers, maybe even half a dozen printers if you start slow.
Yeah.
If you are a guy that like you got one good part that you made that's like phenomenal, nobody else is making anything else like this, you're better off selling the idea to a company that is already producing. There's two main companies in the States that I know of, at least that I'm on really good terms with. The Containment Crew, I know a couple of guys that have kind of licensed their designs to them. They make them and then sell them, usually custom order. And then the Hooligans, same deal. They've got like 3 guys that are local that are constantly making parts, designing parts, I should say, and then they test them out. They're like, all right, this was a good deal. Like, we should make a couple of these, and then they sell them real quick, so they make like 20 more.
Yeah.
Depending on how prolific you are as a designer, it makes more sense to just license your design to somebody else.
Right. Because I suspect we're in a point now where you can probably 3D scan pretty accurately and just steal anyone's design to a degree.
The 3D scanning technology, from what I've seen, is not quite there.
Right.
Thingiverse and Yeji are the 2 places that I kind of hunt around for the most part. A lot of people find it to be better for the community as a whole to release their design after they, make a few of them. After they have started selling them, and selling them has become a pretty good thing for them, they will release the design so that anybody can make them. They just have a disclaimer, hey, don't make this to sell it.
Yeah.
Which is
quite reasonable,
it's fine.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be making them for myself. So I don't really worry about those copyright deals because it's for me. I'm not selling it. So
I think the 3D printer must have just made your modding life heaven, surely.
yeah, it's really nice when you can decide, I need this part, click go, and come back the next day and it's done.
Yeah,
Like,
that's mad, isn't it?
But then you also have the off times where you come in. Like, the first iteration of the Halo gun that I'm working on, it was an 8-day print, and
Wow.
3.5 days in, I had a fail on the print, and I just come into a wad of filament. I'm like, God, what a waste.
Yeah.
That was a lot of material, a lot of time that I cannot get back.
Yeah.
But I had this really cool half Halo assault rifle.
How much does it, if you don't mind me asking, how much does it cost to create some of your, like, for something that takes 8 days to print? How much is that in, material? How much does that cost to, and money,
So-
and energy as well and stuff?
A kilogram of PLA. I use PLA primarily with my printing. It's usually between $15 and $25, depending on what brand you get.
Right.
I like to print all my stuff in either white or orange. Orange because it's legal. If I'm making like a muzzle flash hider or something. White because I can paint it really easily.
Yeah.
I do try to keep as much of the orange aesthetic as I can, just because I really don't want to get shot.
No, that's really. In fact, that's a really interesting question. What are the legal kind of requirements from you making replica type guns, and especially in this climate of like?
Right. In this climate, like, we'll try not to get too political about it, but
No.
in this climate, we really need to make sure that we keep, like, I think it's like 1/8 of an inch of orange. I try to do more
Yeah.
because, man, We
Don't want to
actually
get
most
shot.
most humans versus zombies games on campuses have really good relationships with their campus police.
Yeah.
And if your blaster is too dark or too realistic, they'll say, "All right, we got macaroni duct tape, and guess what's getting covered in macaroni duct tape? That blaster, you know." And the police department's usually pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
I think that the best relationship with any police department that I've ever seen is in Athens, Ohio. The entire city is in play.
Right.
So even walking down to the local pub after a mission to get a drink, you're still in play. Like, you can be tagged right before you walk into that bar.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah. The national game is actually going to be there again in June. So if you are anywhere in the world, really, we've had Aussies come, we've had people from the UK. I think we had a couple Germans come.
Yeah.
We've had Canadians drive down. I'm luckily only like 3 hours away from Athens, Ohio, so it's no problem at all for me to drive down there. It's a great game if you're looking to get your toes wet. Might as well join the biggest game ever.
That sounds amazing. It sounds like something that I wonder whether or not England would ever. I don't know what our scene is like at all. I don't know anything about it. But
Well, if you let's play a game called Let's Go to HVZ. Oh shoot, it's HVZ info, I think. We'll find out. The official HVZ game. Nope, that's the Hocking Hill something or other. Humans versus Zombies. The official website has a registry, humansversuszombies.org. They have an official registry, and you can actually look at your, let's see, where, oh, that doesn't look right. Oh, bugger. HVZ source? Yes, HVZ source. You can actually look at where you are in the country and even the world, and you can see if there are any campuses nearby that that have an HVZ game. You can look for a certain university on the hvzsource.com /games. You can look for your campus. So like Bowling Green is my local one, and it says right now the game isn't going, but there is still one human registered. Interesting. That means that we have one human registered, and I'll actually show you how many zombies there are as well.
nice.
And it's really interesting. A lot of campuses have their own website where they track their kills and everything. And a lot of them have heat maps showing you the campus and where everybody dies.
Wow.
It's really cool. Yeah, you can see where the deadliest corners are.
That's awesome. We're only we're probably less than a decade away from everybody having like Wi-Fi enabled GoPros and just having like POV battle experiences. I imagine
Right.
that'd be pretty exciting.
Right. It's really cool to watch like the circa 2010 HVZ footage, or even the 2008 HVZ footage versus today's HVZ footage.
People
And
running
not
around with
only-
like
Exactly. It's HVZ, the Faux Zombie Apocalypse on Vimeo. It's a really, really old documentary about the SCAD, Savannah College of the Arts, their game. There's the only footage of the Turner Massacre, as it was called. Basically, a courtyard with one entrance. So one way in, one way out. The humans were told, yeah, go in there. That's where your objective is. And they're like, wait, there's just a box. And the box basically just said F you. And like 80 zombies came running in at 30 humans. There were people jumping into a smelly ditch to get away from the zombies. There's one person that filmed it on their Razor from a balcony.
Wow.
And you just hear the screams of these people as they're, being chased down in like pitch black. It's amazing.
It sounds awesome. It sounds absolutely hilarious. If I was a younger man with more free time, I would love to do this. It sounds so good.
I would say that the average age of an HVZ player is between 25 and 35. Like,
I'm on the cusp.
Older man, really. I have met guys that are in their 60s that still play with their sons, and they're like, "This is a great time. Like,
Yeah.
it's just what I enjoy doing. It's my my bonding time with my son, and when my son gets out of it, I'm still gonna be here because I made a lot of good friends.
Yeah. Well, I remember being probably 9 or 10, and I used to live on the moors, and there's a thing called bracken, and bracken is this like just this thing that grows, and it's just got a really quite strong core, and then it's just got like a ferny top. So we used to strip all the fern bits off it and have these like shafts of darts that you could just fight. Just we used to go fight like harvest them all up and then just have wars with them, and it was hilarious. But I suspect that's the precursor to Nerf.
Yeah, we in my area we have this thing called a puffball mushroom.
Yes, I know.
That
I know the
yeah,
ones.
we used to just pitch those at each other like they were smoke grenades. Getting smacked in the face with one of those was a real treat.
Yeah. Have you seen many injuries, or like I suspect you probably have? Have you seen many horrific injuries?
All right, so this is a fun story. This poor kid. Luckily, I don't know his name, so I can't embarrass him. But I'm actually a medic in most of the games, especially on BGSU. I'm an Eagle Scout. I had to take first aid training. I was a lifeguard for a number of years as well, so I'm used to being like a first responder type individual in these games. So we're going through this parking lot, and the parking lot is in play because it's a smaller parking lot, not many cars, and there's like 8 vans, campus vehicles, all lined up. And I was like, all right, guys, remember, check your corners, check between the cars, check under the cars, look everywhere. And this guy was kind of walking along in this 15-man squad, and he's trying to impress this girl, which, let's be honest, HVZ is an excuse to impress girls with your zombie survival skills.
Yeah.
And he's on the curb, and I hear the sound of just somebody just eating shit. Like, he just got laid out. He stepped on the curb just wrong, and he smacked his face real bad on the concrete. He scraped his arm so bad he was, gushing blood. I'm like, all right, cool. Pause game for like us 3 people. I gotta be a first responder. So I patched him up with some gauze and some Neosporin, and he was back in it, trying to impress this girl. That there was this understanding that the best he was gonna get was a pity. Oh yeah, let's get some pizza after this. Like, but no, I also watched a guy. The first time I met this guy, that actually is a pretty good friend of mine now, that runs the games. He was a zombie. He was chasing after this guy, and he turned his head to look at somebody that was shouting at him, and he ran into a street sign and caught his ankle so bad on the street sign, I thought he shattered it. Like, it was bad. I've seen some really crazy injuries, but then again, I see a lot more people just having fun.
Yeah.
It's you accept the risks when you sign up for, I'm going to play this physical game where somebody's physically going to grab me to, kill me, and then I'm going to physically shoot them with a foam dart gun at 20 feet.
Is there like a silly question? Is there like protective stuff you wear? Do you have to have like goggles and all of that kind of business, or not?
We do require, at least I always require eye pro if somebody's going to be running with me.
Yeah.
Usually prescription glasses are fine. I wear shooting glasses, like BB gun glasses, just because that's what I have on hand. Most campuses don't require it, but I definitely always encourage people, because then you're not afraid to run headlong into a blaster. You can always tell who's a nerfer and who's just an HVZ player based on who kind of flinches when they run into a flywheel blaster, because these things sound like RC cars, and they hit at about 130 feet per second. The people that are used to running into those don't flinch.
No.
The people that aren't, they run the other way.
Yeah. It's crazy. Sounds like an awesome game. I'm most impressed by the sound of it. Okay, so we can wrap up and you can get on. Is there anything that you would like to promote or tell the people about?
Well, of course, I've got my YouTube channel. If you throw into YouTube Vlad the Nerf Neko, you will find me. That's Nerf as in, Nerf blasters, and then Neko is Neko.
Yeah.
I produce videos. My regular upload schedule is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I sometimes run out of content, so if I don't have something meaningful to post, I won't.
Yeah.
Just because I value your time just as much as I value my own. Um, Again, the Hooligan Blaster Company. If you're looking for some replacement parts, they're great. Blastersmiths.uk, I believe, is their site. Is another great source, especially if you are in the UK. If you want some replacement parts or some upgrade parts, they've got everything from tactical gear to springs to uh, electronic parts that you need. They've got everything. I actually buy quite a few things from them when I need specific parts for projects, especially the Rapid Strike. They have the best Rapid Strike kit, and they have a full rewire guide for you. They're a great resource.
Excellent. Okay. Well, hopefully this has given some information, some shine a light on some things that maybe will encourage some other people to get involved. Thank you very much, Vlad. Thank you for coming and joining us. We'll hopefully have you back again soon if you're up for it.
Oh, I'm always up for it.
Excellent.
If you want to do an entire episode just about humans versus zombies, we
Yeah.
could. I could tell you some stories.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it very much. All right. Well, this has been the Noise Filter podcast, and we will be back some point next week. So we'll see you again. Cheerio. Goodbye.